Today I'm going to break down the brand new Mario Galaxy movie. The beginning of this video is not going to spoil anything, so if you haven't watched it yet, this is what you can expect. If you played the Mario games, there's going to be a lot of familiar faces in this. If you haven't, don't worry. They will ease you into it. It's packed with a lot of humor. I caught myself several times just cackling out loud. It's good for the kids, and the adults are going to love it too. Think adventure, but with Mario Chaos. It's crazy. Lots of jumping, racing, and awesome gameplay. From the Nintendo 64 to Wii games, all the way up to Mario Kart. If you played any of those games, this movie is for you. And while watching it, make sure you pay attention and look for Easter eggs, because there are a lot of Easter eggs. You'll see characters like Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, and a few other characters that you might recognize instantly. And don't worry if you've never played any of the games, the movie is very easy to follow. And gamers, you will love finding the references and the nods to the classic Mario games. Okay, if you are still watching and you haven't seen the movie, this is your time right now to click off. Do not continue. This is a spoiler. The rest of this video is talking about the movie. So if you haven't seen it, look away. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It reminded me a lot of Wreck-It Ralph in the way that it included the gameplay of what it looked like on your screen back in the day. That is such a cool thing that gaming type movies have started doing, and it is so good. It is such a clever way to introduce things that us older people have watched and played when we were kids and growing up. It is so cool. As I say that it's a good movie, it's really good. There is a couple negative points I have in there, and one of them is Peach went off by herself and she missed the whole scene with Bowser Jr., but she was caught up with very quickly. Like, she didn't go through much of anything other than fighting the ninjas and all that. Like, it was kind of pointless for her to be by herself. And why would she? Why would she leave without telling Mario? You know, like, that's kind of the confusing thing that I have. Because when she always gets into a mess like that, she can always count on Mario. So that was kind of confusing, and I questioned it immediately in the movie. So there's that. I don't know. I don't understand. I really did like how they used the fire power-up to, like, you know, they actually started using their power-ups better, and it was cool to see more power-ups used in this movie. Megaleg, which is the robot that fights Mario at the castle with Bowser Jr., and it's the robot at the beginning that fights Rosalina, is actually the very first boss that they fight in the game of Mario Galaxy. So that's pretty cool. That's something that, you know, a lot of people know unless you've played the game. And even then, you know, people forget. Yoshi, when he eats the dog, that's the same dog that clashed with Mario and Luigi from the first movie. Bowser Jr.'s primary weapon is his paintbrush, which was first premiered in Mario Sunshine. Now, I love that they used the map and the red dots for you to stand on whenever they completed a mission around the castle. That was pretty cool. Like, because that's OG, you know, Mario right there. Another thing is a lot of people want to say who the MVP of the movie is. My opinion is the MVP is this guy. This star is the MVP of the movie. You got to think, okay, this kid, okay, sees his mama fighting this big old creature, and then he goes, or she, we're not going to judge, but he goes, I got to do something, and then goes up there and attacks him. Yeah, he gets slammed down and all this stuff, right? But then gets captured with Rosalina, all right? Then, when he gets broken out, he takes off, all right? Then goes galaxies looking for Mario and Luigi, and then finds them and gets them on their way. That is so freaking cool. That is so cool. Like, he is the MVP. But it leads me back to the same question. Why did Princess Peach leave Mario? Why didn't she tell him? Why didn't she take him with him? Bit of, like, tension there where the fox could be going after the princess. But luckily, I think, you know, it ended off pretty good with kiss on the cheek. But it was kind of cool to see it. You know, people were saying the fox was the MVP. I am sticking with the star. The star is the MVP. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about Bowser. Because Bowser had one of the biggest, like, changes that has ever happened in a movie, especially a Mario movie. So he started off being tiny and like, you know, mean and hateful, hated Mario, loved Luigi, like, you know, it was one of them, like, you know, beefing, always beefing, you know. Then he got released and then became annoying. He needed Mario to like him so he could punch him and, you know, get big again. Well, then he did, and then he was like, well, you know, you're my friend. You know, we can be friends. We can thank you. You know, you didn't have to do that, but thank you. So he does that. Then he sacrifices himself to the bee, and he works. And he was gonna work, you know. And he got over Peach. You know, he was working through things out there, beating rocks with the bees. Well, then, you know, he goes back with his son. Now his son could have killed Mario, and he was like, no, you know, they became my friends, and then. You know, it was kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see a softer Bowser in this movie. So then, after that, you know, he's like, no, I'm the ruler again. And then he goes into lava. And I really thought that was the end. I really did. But then when he come out, Bone, oh my God, dude, that was so cool. That was so cool. It was sad because I really thought they just were going to end Bowser and end his story. And, it was really cool to see that that he come up as Dry Bowser. So yeah. And then that fight scene, and then the Bones at the, oh my good Lord, that is so cool. That is such a cool way to introduce that character. And but it's sad, like, because it's kind of the end of Bowser's story. You know, like, I don't see how Bowser can do much more, because it would just be comedic at that point, like put a head on the shelf or something. It's cool to see that they were sisters. We knew, you know, us people who played every one of them knew that they were sisters. So we knew coming into this that they were sisters, but it was cool how they showed it and how, you know, her memories were clicking and she was remembering throughout the story. It was cool to see. Now, my kids didn't really like the fact that they introduced Yoshi so soon. Like, literally, right off the bat, Yoshi was introduced. But I loved Toads and Yoshi's back and forth throughout the movie. It added a really good comedic relief to, like, kind of serious moments or lack thereof, you know, of a moment. And the last Easter egg, which was so cool, I loved it, is when Luigi had the paintbrush and was drawing, and he drew Mr. Game & Watch. That is so freaking awesome. I loved it. Nobody else in my family knew what it was from, but back when the handheld Mario game, oh my Lord, that brought me back to, like, DS days. That was freaking awesome to see. Any other Easter eggs that I didn't lay down and put them in the comments. I will say this personally, as someone who loves video games and loves old school video games, I would have to put it up there with Wreck-It Ralph, the first one, because I think that's such a good game. And I personally would give this a 8.9 out of 10 in ratings for movies. This is such a good movie. It's not the best movie out there, but it's a really good movie from an adult perspective that loves video games. This is a pretty good one. If you stayed to the end, thank you so much. If you like this, again, whatever you thought in the comments, let me know in the comments what you guys thought. And I can't wait to watch the next one in about 3 years.